There it is. Okay, okay. Good morning. How's it going?
Morning. Pretty good.
Hey, Kevin. Nice to see you again. Good morning.
Hey, Tyler. How's it going?
I am quite well. Still in lockdown. I was just on the phone with Ryan yesterday, Ryan Atkins.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, we got our next session planned. We're going to have some more stripes. It'll be fun.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that was a sweet time. I was bummed that I couldn't make the deep learning class you did. I think that was on Wednesday. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, but I'm doing it next Wednesday as well.
Ooh, I wonder if I can get on that invite.
Yeah, find out. See if you're lucky. Bart, how did you hear about us? I taught Kevin a class just recently, so I know how he heard about it.
Yeah, I actually subscribed to your mailing list.
Oh, great.
And I heard about it through that.
Howdy, howdy. I think we'll wait about, 3 or 4 more minutes. People tend to show up late to these free things.
I've literally just got off work, so it's I'm in the UK. It's like 5 o'clock. I just told the rest of the guys in the office, I'm off now. I've got a workshop to go to.
Brilliant. I love it. Brian or Brienne or good morning, however you say your name. I'm sorry. Maybe while we're waiting, y'all three want to kind of give me and each other a little bit of information about your background with software so that I kind of know where we're starting from.
Yeah, absolutely. I can start. My name's Kevin. I work at a company called Stripe, based in San Francisco, California. And I'm on the sales team there. So I'm actually not super well versed in all things code, but actually just took a couple month long course with Tyler, and it was amazing. I picked up a lot of skills that really have helped me in my job already. And this is not a plug, but I did learn about these extra classes that he was offering and thought it would be a really useful use of time. So anyway, good to meet everybody.
You're on mute, Bart. Yep.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Yeah, cool. So I'm a developer in London. I work mostly back-end things, but I've never done anything with penetration testing, or I've never messed around with Kali Linux either. So I thought it'd be fun to give it a go.
Nice.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Hi, I'm Brian Wilson. Sorry, I missed the start as to what you're looking for, but I just finished up a data science bootcamp a couple months ago and looking to learn
cool.
some new things. Yeah, most of my experience has been with Python or in data analytics, so not really anything on the security side, definitely nothing in Linux. So just thought I'd kind of try and learn something new.
Okay, cool. And what about web? Any, web work with servers, work with websites?
No, I haven't had anything like that.
Okay, interesting. Well, that'd be fine. You speak Python reasonably, I'm guessing?
Decently well.
Yeah, cool.
I'll give it my best shot.
Yeah, that's all we can ask. Were all of you able to install a Kali VM?
Yes, I've got one installed, although I don't know if I finished all of the setup steps, but I think I got most of the way there.
Okay. Kevin?
That is a no for me. I'm mostly planning on just listening because this is fascinating to me, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'll work. And you can install like Burp Suite, you can install on Mac without Kali. I'm
Okay.
guessing you can probably get Hydra. I haven't tried to install Hydra on my Mac, only in the Kali VM. So most of the tools, I mean, they exist both places, and obviously, like when you're actually doing a network penetration test, sometimes you're hacking against Mac servers, and sometimes you're hacking against Windows servers. So underlying knowledge of any of those platforms is helpful, like, in breaking those particular platforms too.
Sure. Okay. Okay, cool. That's helpful.
So yeah, it's 5 after the hour. Sometimes I had people show up as late as like 17 minutes. People, when it's free, they're like, rules are out. Punctuality, who cares? So, we'll see. But, the natural consequence for being late is you miss some content. So let's go ahead and get started. We've all said hello. I'll introduce myself too. My name's Tyler. I'm a freelance educator, mostly in software. I've done a lot of teaching on the traditional computer science foundational side of things, and then I also worked at a coding boot camp for a number of years teaching web development. So I've kind of been all over the place. I like to think of myself as a generalist. As soon as I start to know, as soon as I get past like the intermediate level, I get bored with something and I stop learning it. So I know I have approximate knowledge of many things, and that's actually a good skill in the application security kind of world. Sometimes if you get really, really spiky, you can do more low-level hacks, or you can, be the kind of security researcher who finds out, Heartbleed, and you found the bug in a really low-level implementation of OpenSSL, or you found, did any of you hear about the speculative execution bugs, Spectre and Meltdown?
I certainly heard about them, yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't have implemented those things either. But if you're, really, really pointy, you can be that kind of security researcher. But when you're doing stuff like web app penetration testing, it's a lot better to have a little bit of knowledge of how everything works and then piece it together from there. Because, and we're talking about the hacking mindset now, even though I was doing my introduction. The whole idea is you look at a website and you need to find all of the possible places where there's a vulnerability, and then you start probing one of them for vulnerabilities, trying to find places where they're not sanitizing their input, or places where, they've got customers who can be phished, or you can steal some of their credentials and gain access to a bunch of new endpoints that you might be able to test. So, the hacking mindset is much more like a breadth first search than a depth first search, if that makes sense. You kind of want to be always asking yourself, where are all the buttons I can push, and what happens when I push those buttons? Um, Always keeping in mind, right? The whole thing that makes it a hack is you can do something on their system that they don't want you to do. And then the next level is, how can I make that benefit me? That's what a lot of hackers are thinking. How can I make that benefit me, or my government if I'm an NSA hacker, or whatever, what have you? How can I sell the data? I'm only going to steal data that I can monetize if I'm a hacker out for profit. There's only a tiny number of people who are just actually out there to fuck shit up, right? So that's kind of the way hackers think about things. I think this is really different than an engineering mindset. And so, we've got some people, especially like data science engineering mindset is pretty different too. So I want to ask you all, when you have programming problems, how do you approach them? And, how does this sound different or the same to how you approach problems in your own work already?
Well, I guess for me, initially I work on a product at a product company. So a lot of it is initially trying to define what is actually required, and there's a lot of back and forth often between is required and what is possible or what can be done within reasonable constraints. And then I just sort of break it down step by step and do some sort of brainstorming and whiteboarding across what a solution might look like.
Yep, and then probably, you start thinking about what are the edge cases to this problem, and do we have to solve all those too? And
well, that's if we're lucky. Generally, just deploy it first, and you'll find the edge cases in production.
Ooh, hackers love that approach. Right, so there's all this work that goes in beforehand, and you have to really, really think about what you're going to do, and you make a plan before you enact the plan, and all this kind of stuff. And I think hacking is totally different from that. With hacking, it's like, ooh, that's a shiny thing. I'm going to try that shiny thing. Let's see how far I can get there. Ooh, and then if it continues to look shiny, you probe it, you do a port scan, you find an open port, you start looking for more stuff. You go in, and once you get further into the system, new shiny things open up, and you got to pick a new shiny thing to kind of focus on. There's also like a lot of automation, as we'll see, a lot of attacks are, a lot of things can be almost fully automated these days, depending on what your goals are. So thinking kind of about also like, it's really good as defensive security people to put ourselves in the mindset of hackers from what do they want? Okay, so that's a question for all of you. What do hackers want? You've read reports, you're kind of interested in security in general, you work at companies that have concerns about hackers. What do you think hackers are after,
I guess it would depend on kind of their motivation, but information or data in general.
Yeah, and what kinds of data? What kinds of data might be most valuable? Under what circumstances?
I mean, if you're going for user information, passwords, social security numbers, financial information, location information, and that would be for if you're, I guess, looking for some sort of financial gain from your hacking prowess.
Yeah, bingo, you can sell all that kind of information. And if you get credentials, especially, not only can you sell the credentials directly, but you can use the credentials to get further into the system, which might get you access to more information and more profitable data. There's that kind of thing. What else? Like, I'll give you one kind of pushing example. Ransomware attacks become really popular. What are those folks after?
Money.
Well,
Bitcoin?
yes, money, but how do they get the money?
Well, they're kind of providing a service to undo the harm that they did.
Right. And they need to do the harm in the first place, which means they need to have access to some system. So they don't need a way to monetize the data like on the black market. You can grab social security numbers or credit card numbers and you can sell those on the black market. Or if you're a ransomware person now, you only have to access data that's valuable to the company. And it might only and exclusively be valuable to the company that you're attacking, but you could still monetize it.
Interesting.
Does this apply to individuals as well? Like, I don't know, like a fake Adobe upgrade or something like that, and then they install something on your computer, they get access to information, or like, is that completely different, Tyler?
No, I wouldn't say it's completely different. I think a lot of attackers don't try to go after individuals just because the payoff is a little less likely. Individuals have less access to capital. Their personal data is often worth less to them. They're not buying ransomware insurance, so they're less likely to get paid out. But I mean, hackers do totally. And if they could do something sophisticated like hijack the Adobe update software and just spread their malware to a ton of people, they might really want to do that because not everyone's going to pay. So you need to hit, let's say you have like a 10% payout rate. You need to hit 100 people before you get 10 payouts. And, you really want to earn a lot of money.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. There's some other interesting things people can do. Like, we've heard a lot about botnets. Anybody know anything about how little botnets work and how hackers can utilize them and create them?
Not enough to want to try and explain it.
Oh, that's a great honest answer. So one thing that has become really, this is like an interesting version of hacking that I think people don't think about, is it's become pretty popular to basically engage in ad fraud, where you can convince other people's devices to appear as though they clicked on advertisements and generate revenue from those advertisements. You know, you click a link, you have to pay because someone clicked that link, and that payout goes to someone. So you're hosting advertisements, you get paid when people click your advertisements. You, as a hacker, can infect people's machines with pieces of software that just simulate that clicking on an ad. And if you can get botnets that are pretty sizable, you can actually make a lot of money this way just by having fake people click your ads. It's insane. There's like non-hacking ways to do this too. I've seen great videos of people in China who are working at click farms, and you can go pay them for clicks. So you pay them $15, and there's just people sitting there with like 10 phones in front of them, and they watch your YouTube video 5 times, and then they get a new phone. They go to their next station and start the video up 5 more times. Start the video up 5 more times. So hackers can automate this process and generate fake revenue that way. There's been some interesting work in crypto mining. So basically, instead of installing a botnet on people's machines, install a piece of software that just runs Bitcoin mining software, and just infect as many machines as you can. Attach your wallet ID to that mining software, or do something clever to launder the Bitcoin through a bunch of different wallet IDs and send it around. There's lots of hard work that's been done. North Korea actually does a lot of great work with money laundering on Bitcoin. I can send you an article about that. But so this is a goal too. And, the whole point of this conversation, this part of the conversation, is hackers are really clever, and there are lots of ways to turn a little bit of access. If I can install a piece of software and run some code on a remote machine, or if I can just get some credentials, or if I can just break into a web app. Clever hackers can do quite a lot with just a little bit, and they think in ways that most software engineers, the whole point is to think like software engineers don't think. You want to exploit holes that the software engineers haven't thought of. Okay. So how do we feel about, this kind of hacking mindset? Let's push that button. Let's get in. Let's think outside the box. Does this make sense?
I mean, I think it certainly makes sense to me. It's always appealing to kind of try and pull things apart, and then if you get a little bit of traction, it's quite exciting to
Exactly.
see what you can do with that.
And it's like a wonderful little puzzle too, in a lot of ways. Hacking, I think, is really, really fun because it's, you see the problem and then you try to do something else. And that kind of thinking is very much like, puzzles and riddles, and it's pretty cute. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, this is our mindset. We want to find any one hole. We want to exploit that one hole. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of the stages that most hackers go through while they're doing, or, oh wait, I got to go back in time. I forgot to give a legal disclaimer. I am going to show you a little bit later some things that you can use illegally. Please don't use them illegally. Only perform these, kinds of hacking operations on devices that you have permission to access or that are owned completely by you. And then it'll be legal and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we all agree to, not break the law in wherever we live.
Agree.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is kind of this is very standard stages of a hack. We start with reconnaissance and exploration, right? During this phase, and we're mostly going to be focused on web application security for this particular workshop. So reconnaissance and exploration on web application security, this is like exploring all the web app has to offer. We know that the web app is, serving, here's my GitHub web app and I've got some stuff up, but I want to find out where are all the inputs? Where can I send data to the backend system? Is there any forms? Are there any API endpoints? Is there an administration panel that's, not public, but I could find it and then maybe I could start trying to log in? This kind of thing. So what else comes to mind regarding reconnaissance and exploration when you think about web apps, what might you want to find that could help you as a hacker?
I mean, I guess I would probably want to see what endpoints are being used and what sort of parameters are passed to those endpoints.
Definitely. What else?
I mean, like if I was looking for, if you get into specifics, so like passwords, dictionary attacks on passwords, for example, I would look at names of the company and possibly anything associated with that industry and things associated with any users. If I could find information about users, if I could find emails, of course, for any users, which might not be that hard, given that everyone has their profile on LinkedIn and often has
Yeah,
their email
right.
there.
Absolutely. You can just try it. T-battalion@galvanize.com, T.battalion@galvanize.com,
Right.
Tyler.battalion@galvanize.com, T.B, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so definitely you want to find out any information you can. If you can grab any login credentials, that's, super, super good. Even if you can find a username, then you can start trying to break one username with just a list of passwords rather than trying to enumerate all the possible usernames first. That can take a lot of time.
Yep.
Find, unprotected subdomains or places where they're sending data over only HTTP instead of HTTPS. That can be a big, big, big score, because then you can man in the middle somebody, or, if it's just HTTP, they might have lower policies for like cross-domain resource sharing and stuff like that. So then you can inject some code in, right? Is there another one people look for is like, are there places where they use query parameters? So, I'm going to pull this down. If you're familiar with query parameters, you do a question mark after and like x equals whatever. And then the result of this query parameter might either be then sent to the backend device, to the server, and some data processing will happen on it, or it might be projected onto the screen. And in either case, we might try malicious payloads in these query parameters to say like, hey, let's see if we can do a cross-site scripting attack, or let's see if we can do a SQL injection based on the existence of these query parameters. And so in that vein, similarly, anytime you see a post request made by the website itself, that can be really good. You might also look at API documentation if you're in an engagement against someone who's got well-known APIs. Kevin strikes me as a good example of this. Lots of APIs. The documentation is really well known. You can go look at the documentation and act like a regular developer would, and then you know a lot about how the service works, and you can start trying to find holes to poke and prod. Okay. So reconnaissance, you want to find everything you can. Admin panels are a great thing to look for. Places where data gets posted, especially if you can find a place where data gets posted and then reflected to other users, that can be a nice way to execute a cross-site scripting attack or some other kind of injection attack. After we do reconnaissance, we'll do intrusion. And again, this is kind of like a depth-first search process, and some of this will happen in parallel. So I'm going to show you some tools. Burp can automate a lot of this. There's another tool called Dirbuster that we're going to use to automate some of the reconnaissance and exploration and finding of things that we wouldn't otherwise find. So lots of tools to do this automatically. Once we found something that looks a little appealing, we'll try to start intruding, right? So we found the login screen, and we're going to try and spray a few common passwords on it. Admin, 12345, this kind of thing. And there's, in Kali Linux, I'll show you, there's tons of word lists for common passwords. There's lots of security word lists for common usernames that you can find online, stuff like that. So, once you've got some endpoints that seem interesting, you want to try a bunch of attacks against them, whether it's a XSS, whether it's SQL injection, whatever. Just try and push on all the doors. And, just like regular crime is a really good analogy for cybercrime, people are looking for unlocked doors. So what we're going to do is we're going to find every door, and we're going to just turn the knob gently. Before we go get the sledgehammer and break the door in, we're going to just see if it's unlocked. I don't have to break a window if your car's unlocked, and then I can steal your dashboard, and it's your fault, basically. So intrusion, start small and then work your way up to brute force attacks once you get desperate, or really really clever attacks once you get more desperate too. But just like anything else, the vast majority of hackers are medium quality at their job, right? There's a bell curve even in the criminal industry. So being safe on the defensive side of things is really about being more safe than average, and people are going to go find the unlocked doors and exploit those companies, and if you lock most of your doors, you're going to end up being okay. Okay, so once we've done reconnaissance and intrusion, we've found some way to get in, we're going to try and exploit stuff. So can I run any scripts on this computer? What privileges do I have? Can I access like /etc/password? Can I get people's login credentials? Can I, now that I'm on the machine, can I SSH to another machine somewhere else? Do I have access to the raw database now that I'm on the machine? Stuff like this. I've got an XSS attack. Can I steal someone's cookie and then log in as them and then do something better having logged in as them? So exploitation comes next. Once you've got an exploit, you might be done, right? Step 3 might be the end of it. You've gotten what you wanted, but it's usually good to try. And I will say steps 4, 5, and 6 are really not a part of this workshop. This is an intro level workshop for web app security. These 3 really happen more on the network side of things. So you'll be doing stuff in web shells or reverse shells at this point, and that's slightly beyond what I want to talk about today, but I'll mention it anyway. So privilege escalation, this is like Linux privileges. I logged in as the user who started the web app, which is going to be like www-var if you're using the standard Apache stuff, or it's going to be some other plain old user in userland, not root, for example. Once I'm in, I want to gain access to more privileges. I want to look like a network administrator so I can get access to more systems and act like root and change the files on the server and install new scripts and whatever. So privilege escalation is a big part of, and in like the extended materials, I give you links to Hack the Box, which is a really fun service if you want to keep practicing this stuff, which we can talk about. But every Hack the Box capture the flag has first get in, then escalate your privileges. And that's kind of the main progression that hackers want to go through. I want to get in, and then I want to get root. And once I'm root, you're owned. And then that's the process. Then you send your write-up, how did I get in? How did I get root? You send that write-up to your client, whoever's managing the penetration test, and then they pay you, and they're very grateful that you figured out how to get root so that they can stop other people from getting root. And then similarly, like privilege escalation, you also want to try and move laterally. I logged in, I've got access to the web server, can I get access to the database? I logged in, I've got access to the database now, can I use that access to the database to get access to some other critical system? I've got access to one of the web apps, but this company actually is hosting 3 or 4 web apps. Can I get access to the other web apps? Or can I get into like their internal Elasticsearch instance or something else like that? What other systems do I gain access to as I make steps forward? And then step 6, this matters a lot less to most like commercial penetration testers, obfuscating and hiding the fact that you got in. But this matters a lot to like government hackers, matters a lot to criminal hackers who don't want to get caught, right? And it matters when you're doing something called a red team engagement, which is, really acting more like those hackers. So stuff on like HackerOne and bug bounties, people don't care so much if you obfuscate your efforts. They don't care if you cover your tracks, but real criminals cover their tracks. And so when you're a real, blue team defensive security person, you need to try and understand how people obfuscate their efforts to get into your system so that you can combat those with like good logging and protected logs that get sent somewhere else so they're off the machine, because once I get in and I get root, I could just go delete the logs if they're posted right there on the machine. So backups and monitoring and that kind of thing really help prevent hackers from being able to appropriately obfuscate their efforts and hide the fact that they actually broke into your machine. And then, of course, if your goal is getting data, you have to get that data off the system. So, exfiltration, step 7, but it could be step 3 as well, right? And all of these are presented as like steps on a line, but they're really just branching paths. And depending on when you start, you might get in and then try to exploit like 2 or 3 things and then give up on those branches and start the whole loop over again. Okay.
I've actually seen a sort of form of, well, something analogous to privilege escalation within web apps as well. So if you're logged in as a user, sometimes there might be other services that you haven't paid for, which are sort of hidden away somewhere within the application, but they're not always actually enforced on the back end. They're just hidden in the front end. So if you can find those things, if you're already an authenticated user, it's actually another sort of form of something. I don't know if it's called privilege escalation, but it's certainly analogous to it.
Yeah, I think I would probably call it privilege escalation. And absolutely, that's true. Let's say you're Facebook and you are a regular user, and somehow you find an exploit that changes your privileges to be like a moderator over certain things. Okay, now you can delete posts. Maybe that's a goal. If you're a Russian agent and you want to be doing misinformation campaigns, the ability to delete certain posts might actually be very enticing to you, right? And I shouldn't just call out Russia. China and probably the United States are doing lots of this too, but the UK, you're doing it too.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. So any way you can get a power that you didn't have before and that you shouldn't have, especially, that's what hacking's all about. Get stuff you shouldn't have. Powers to delete posts, powers to make users. All of this can be really quite powerful. What else do you want to say at this point? The next thing we're going to do is talk about some tools, and I'm going to demonstrate some tools for reconnaissance and enumeration. Oh, feeling good?
Doing good.
Right on.
Doing good.
Okay, so here is my Kali VM. I'm going to log in, hack it. Okay. And I'm going to demonstrate a couple of things. First is, we don't need the terminal quite yet. First is this program Burp. And feel free to get Burp up on your own and follow along. I want you to go here. I always forget the hotkeys. The worst thing about using a VM is that all my Apple hotkeys are totally wrong. So all my finger muscle memory is also totally wrong. And in fact, I'll actually restart Burp just so that we can kind of see it happening. I pay for the professional suite, it's actually pretty expensive, but Burp is a very, very, very common web application security tool. I think almost all professional web app pen testers use Burp. Oh, I'm out of date. I'm 1 behind. I'll update that later. Okay, with Community Edition, I think you're only allowed to use a temporary project, so I'll only demonstrate that. And we'll just use the defaults as well. But what Burp does for us is, it's a huge multi-tool, it's a Swiss Army knife, but the main thing we're gonna see today right now is how it can be useful with reconnaissance, and it's also a really useful note-taking application. So over here on the left, I have something called the Damn Vulnerable Web Application, which is a really wonderful kind of playground for hacking. It's got, as you can see, a number of different types of web application vulnerabilities, and you can set the security standards. So if I go to, instead of /index, I can go to /setup on DVWA. Oh, and the first thing that is being demonstrated here is that Burp initially acts as an intercept proxy, which means, okay, so a proxy in general, I'm going to ask you, what does that mean? Someone probably knows.
It's essentially just a server that forwards or something that forwards traffic from one place to another.
Yes, and in our case, what this looks like is, here we go, we're on the whiteboard now. Okay, so what it looks like in our case is we're here typing on our computer. On our computer, 2 programs are running now. We've got the web browser, Firefox in our case, and with Burp, when we configure it properly, Firefox sends all traffic before it leaves our computer to Burp. And then Burp forwards it, to the internet in general. And then everything that comes back through Burp and then gets sent to Firefox. And with the defaults of Burp, when you just turn it on, it intercepts, which means Burp holds the traffic here. So Firefox sends this web request, Burp holds on to it, and doesn't forward it until I say, okay, go ahead and forward it. And if I want to, I am able to, using Burp, make changes. Whoops, I want red. I can make changes to this. So if I want to, this web browser, the application running in the web browser is going to do what the software engineers want it to do. If I want to make subtle changes to what data actually gets sent to their server over here, put in some malicious payloads, I can do that with Burp by having Burp hold on to the request, make a few changes to the HTTP request that's going to get ultimately sent over the wire, and then forward that request. But this is also quite annoying sometimes when you're just doing basic reconnaissance, so you'll want to turn intercept off so that now you can see this actually resolved and my web request finished. Okay. So that's in the proxy tab, and I can also go to the HTTP history of the proxy tab, and now it has all the requests that I've sent since I turned on Burp, and I can look at the raw requests, any get parameters or post parameters. I can look at the response, the raw response. I can look at the headers. I can look at it in hex. If you want to do some low-level stuff, maybe you want to look at it in hex. Pretty cool. And the renderer, I think, pretty much always breaks for me, so I'm going to send them a bug report. Well, we can see what it looks like rendered over here on the left. Okay, so anyway, Burp is now proxying our requests, and that's good. We get a nice idea of what we've done, and that can be really, really helpful. Another thing that we like to do with Burp here is in the target tab. Oh, actually, they moved it to the, in the dashboard tab. It can show us some stuff like, hey, look, there's a warning. So Burp has lots of ways to automatically detect if there are certain really well-known vulnerabilities, like unencrypted communications. I'm using HTTP, not HTTPS, so Burp says, hey, watch out, you're using HTTP. So it collects all these issues automatically, and there's a huge database of issues, so that's very useful. You can also look at the target tab, and you'll get an automatically built out site tree. So Burp is automatically crawling this website. I landed on this page. It saw that all of these are links. These are all, anchor tags with HTTP links, and it automatically crawled those too. And it says, these are the, here's the whole site tree that I can find so far. And if I go to those, if I go to CSRF and there were new links in here, it could automatically crawl those too and add them to my site tree. So this can be a very useful way to just, without doing too much hard work on your own part, figure out the overall site and structure of the site. And this is also really useful in keeping notes, because with one engagement, you're not going to just like own them in one sitting. You're going to do this over the course of 2 or 3 work days, say, and so you can save the site tree, you can save all of your stuff related to this Burp project, and that can be very useful. Okay. So what do we think about Burp? How interesting?
Very, very interesting indeed. I'm currently accessing a website for my company and having a look around. Where did you bring up the sitemap from?
This is in the target tab.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then there's also, some quick tips that you'll want to do. You'll notice, here, for example, like getpocket.cdn.net showed up, and if I'm in my target tab, that's up here. I don't really want that. So often on an engagement, what you'll do is you'll say like, I want to add this to scope, and I want everything else to not be in scope for this particular burp engagement. So it'll say, hey, do you want to remove everything that's out of scope? I'll say yes. And then I'll come over to my target page, and you can see more about what's getting hidden and what's in or out of scope here. And then if I delete this, now that I have scope defined, and I actually want this to be anything on localhost. Say okay. And now when I'm going around the internet, now that I have this saved, I can go to like google.com, and google.com doesn't show up in my target tab anymore. So if you're on, your regular machine, you will notice some horrifying, like you've got an email tab open and you'll come over to the proxy and it'll show you that Gmail's making 10 requests every fucking minute, and it's just overwhelming amount of information. So using scope and only logging in scope traffic can be quite helpful. Okay, and so this is kind of the basics of recon. I would start, I'd look here, I'd go here, I'd go here. There are some things that are also useful that we can do. So there isn't a good example of this on DVWA, but oftentimes there are patterns in our URL structure. I think everyone can imagine, if you've built a web app before, you can imagine something like /user/1, and this takes you to user 1's page, and then user 2's page, and user 3's page, and this kind of thing. So sometimes you'll want to just enumerate over those well-known patterns and say, I want to check all of these from user 0 to user 500 or something like that. And maybe I'll find a page that has a vulnerability that I wouldn't have otherwise found unless I had performed that kind of enumeration. So for this, we want to use a tool that we'll use over and over again, called the Intruder Tool. And so the best way to do this is, let's say I was on the CAPTCHA page. I can right-click here and send this to Intruder. Intruder turns orange. And maybe, yeah, no, repeater's not what I want. Intruder turns orange, and we can see I'm attacking localhost on port 80. I can look in the actual positions tab. It says this is the GET request that's going to get sent. And here, you'll notice it's got these little S's. These are targets for my repeating data that I'll basically change the meaning of. So I'm going to clear all these first, and I'm going to say, I want to look for CAPTCHA. And then here, let's say I wanted to look for different values. Oh, this didn't clear all of them. I thought it was going to clear all of them. So now I can say, I want to go to dvwa/vulnerability/CAPTCHA/, and then here in between these two little double S things, I can enumerate any list of data that I want, okay? There are 4 kinds of attacks. I actually always forget exactly what all these are. Sniper is only gonna send 1 payload at a time and only 1 target location at a time. So that's the attack we want for this particular example. Cluster bomb is the opposite of sniper, where if I have like multiple positions, like let's say I wanted to attack the security and the PHP session ID, I could add those here and add those here, and then I wouldn't be attacking this one here. If I use cluster bomb like this with 2 payload positions, then I can provide separate lists for this and for this, for security and for session ID, and enumerate over all combinations of those 2 possible lists. So I have like, option 1 and option 1, and then option 1 and option 2 from the second list, and then 2 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 4 and 1 and 5 and 1 and 6. And so it's, this n squared kind of cascading complexity. So try every possible combination of all the 2 lists. That's cluster bomb. But let's clear these. Let's do the original attack that I was going to describe. Add. And you can put anything, whatever's in here is irrelevant. it just gets replaced with the list. So you can write 0, or you can write hey, or you can write my name is Mud. You know, whatever you want. It's totally irrelevant. So with the sniper attack, we open our payload. We can choose between the payload sets. It knows that we only have one because we only have one set of little crazy S things. And we'll choose a simple list, and I'll just use one of the default lists that Burp ships with. Oh, whoops, those are mine. We'll say, sure, that one. You can see it's got 27,000 items in whatever list I accidentally clicked on, short words or something like that. And then I can kind of configure and define any, the number of threads, any throttling I want to do, stuff like this. And I can also, and this is really helpful, I can look for particular words or phrases that came up inside of the response. So if I'm doing like a password attack, I can say, look for invalid username and look for invalid password. And add that to my list of things to match against, okay? If I come back over here, start the attack, you'll see it'll tell me the HTTP status, the length of the attack, whether it errored or timed out, and it'll tell me the existence or lack of existence. If I can get that thing to scroll to the right, that's weird. Can I scroll down? Oh, my VM's just going slow because I'm hammering it with a zillion attacks. Okay, and you can see this is going pretty fast. Lots of stuff was not found. Oh, look, there it's scrolling without my permission. Oh no, I need to allocate maybe some more memory to my poor little VM. And you can also like sort by the existence of on any of these fields, whether it got an error or it found exception or it found the word invalid or it found fail. Okay. Let's pause for questions about this intruder especially. And I'm going to click close here, and it's going to take like 3 seconds to actually close and kill the attack. So. Can you think of a situation where this, intruder tool might be useful to you?
Well, I mean, like you said, if you were looking, for example, querying any sort of URL where you want to try a whole bunch of different variations in parameters. But it looks like you would also use the same tool for password attacks, right?
Yeah, you can absolutely use this for password attacks. Yes, click OK. I do want that to die. It's totally soaking up. Ha! Okay, I got my computer back. Yeah, password attacks, any kind of URL enumeration can be really useful. And then, when you find like API endpoints that have 2 or 3 possible inputs, you can also try to like enumerate over weird malicious data that might give you a clue about how they're processing those on the back end, whether they're being sent to a SQL server or, whether they're just being processed by, a MongoDB. You can try and send malicious inputs for all of those. And when you finally get one back that's like, hey, an exception occurred, you got a 505, 501 or a 503, the server failed, that can always be a good sign. So looking for non-200 status codes in kind of this brute force enumeration attack can be pretty useful. It tells you something like, oh, hey, I broke that. Now can I break that in a useful way?
So does it allow you to sort of set, like effectively script different payloads? So you could parameterize payloads and yeah, I see there's like payload processing below.
Yeah, and so you can also do like, you can use a simple list, or there's a way to do numbers, but I might have forgotten how to do it offhand. But you can set it like do numbers, count up, start at, whatever.
Does it support like JSON then as well?
I don't know about JSON directly, but you can write your own lists, just like text files.
Oh, right. Okay. So then it would, and you can parameterize that text, I guess. So
Oh yeah, here's what we want. Payload type. I had simple list. You know, you can do a file. You can do, why can't you scroll down? Two-finger scroll doesn't work, which is very annoying. Numbers, there it is. Numbers, you know, which kind of number, random or in a sequence from what to what. You can do dates, you know, we all love working with dates in code, right? It's super easy, it always works.
Funnily enough, I had some issues with dates just today.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Okay, yeah, so there, again, there's tons to explore. Oh, username generator, that sounds kind of fun. Oh, just like I said, it's easy to guess. First name, last name, so I'll try firstnamelastname.org, fnamelastname.org. Cool. Okay, and then the other tool I wanted to show you, so this is really nice if you're looking for specific parameters that you want to brute force attack against, but burp is not necessarily as good at finding hidden URLs that we maybe shouldn't have access to. And so I'm going to show you another tool called Dirbuster for this. So Dirbuster, and I'll copy this and send it to Zoom. I think I used the wrong hotkey. One moment, please. Here's the command I'm about to run. And I'll paste it here and we can look at it. Okay. So GoBuster is a Go-based implementation of another tool called Dirbuster. They basically do the same thing, but the GoBuster version is slightly more concurrent, so it's a little faster. And what you specify in this case, we're doing localhost /dvwa, is you say, I'm going to do a directory search, meaning I'm looking for URLs, you know, common URLs that exist but are often hidden. So admin panels, login panels, like my PHP web terminals, those are a good one that people like to find. I can't remember the name of the service that's so popular, but it's like a little service that, and I don't know why it's so popular, you never want to do this, but it creates in the web itself, in your web browser, a shell, and it forwards those shell commands to the PHP server behind the scene, and then it runs those commands in the terminal, which is insane, but people have that. It's enabled by default on a lot of websites. It's just crazy. But so you use some of these word lists in Kali, including dirbuster /common.txt, to find these common locations. Okay, so what we're doing here is GoBuster. The alternative to dir is DNS when you're looking for like DNS subdomains rather than looking for on a specific domain, localhost /dvwa. And then I'm going to look for things I can append to that URL basically. I can also look for like different common subdomains. So .admin, .staging, .production, you know, what have you. I'm pretty sure this has to, E is like my terminal output. It's going to make it more verbose. I'm using a URL, -U for URL mode. And then here, there's a ton of interesting word lists at /user/share/word lists that are just built into Kali. We're going to look at a few of those, but let's run this command first and just kind of show what the output from Dirbuster looks like. Basically, it says, hey, I only got these status codes during my search. I didn't find, in here would be the report, I didn't find any particularly interesting URLs. I might have made one small mistake, by the way. I think I wanted to have a slasher. Yeah, still okay. No interesting URLs. And if we cat that word list, /user share word lists, dirbuster, common.txt, we can get an idea of what URLs were generated. So I'm looking for WordPress admin, you know, localhost.com /dvwa/wp admin /YouTube /yml /yearly. and I'm just automatically trying all of these possible locations.
So
And
it
there's,
would just, sorry,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to ask, it would flag anything that matched from the word list then?
That's
as
exactly right.
importing? Okay.
Yep, and so, common stuff like admin and login and blah, 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 blah. It would pop those up here in between this like little where it started and finished. As it found them, it would tell you, ooh, I found this one. Ooh, I found that one. Ooh, this was interesting. And
Right.
then you can go, asynchronously while it's still running, you can go look at that on your particular, on your actual web browser and start enumerating it and start looking at those useful zones. Okay, and you'll need to use this tool to solve the exercise that I have planned, the first capture the flag exercise. You will need GoBuster, and this command will be very useful. So now that you see it in Slack, yay. Or not Slack, chat. Oh, they got me. Slack's like Google now. I don't use the word search. Google it. No, search for it. Okay. This was enumeration. The idea of enumeration, I think probably makes sense to everyone, but let's pause for questions. The next thing we're going to do is talk specifically about password spraying, and I'll show you a password spraying attack on DVWA.
Yeah, Tyler, I got a quick question. So let's say you run that and it comes back that like admin is has been found. Like that's an actual link that's not publicly facing but exists.
Yeah.
What would you then do with that? Then you would go like brute force smash it with a bunch of passwords and like usernames of people that work there or something to try to log into that admin portal. And then is that something you would do, or like what
Yeah.
would you do?
Yeah, that's one thing you might do. And then if you found something that was like, a login free panel, you didn't have to log in, but it had access to some new endpoint that you didn't know about that's sending data to the server. That might be an interesting thing to try and probe with, fuzzing attacks that try and see if it's sending that to a SQL server or sending it to a Mongo server, and then try and execute some known malicious payloads against those services if you find out the data is being forwarded to something like that.
Gotcha. So if it is being forwarded to something like a sensitive place or a place that holds sensitive information, you can maybe use burp or something to insert whatever your agenda is into.
Exactly. Burp or some other tools like, SQL map is another one it can automatically detect if you're vulnerable to a SQL injection or something like that.
Awesome. Okay, cool. This is really helpful. By the way, I do have to jump in like 3 minutes for a call, but this has been, I know, it's so fun.
I'm recording this, so I'll publish the video too on my YouTube channel.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions before we do, a basic, password spraying attack?
Sorry, I am finally getting burp finalized. So I'm about to start following along with you.
Sweet. Yeah, you'll be able to password spray. Okay, let's see. I want to go to DVWA, and basically I need to go to DVWA security. This is another thing I think I forgot to mention about DVWA. It's called the damn vulnerable web app, but when the security is impossible, it's highly not vulnerable to attacks. I don't actually know if there are any known attacks against the impossible mode, but it's very high, very hard. Yeah, they say it should be secure against all vulnerabilities. But we're going to set the vulnerability to low to execute some basic attacks. And as you get better and better at executing the attacks, and as you learn more about the particular attacks, switching up to medium and high, this is like a really good training battleground. So I'm going to set this to low. I'm going to click submit, and then I'm going to go to brute force. And basically we have a version of the login page here. Okay. And the default password for DVWA is admin. Okay, maybe not surprising. And if I type, admin3, I get back username and or password incorrect. But if I do like AD, nothing. Oh, dang, they're being nice. They're giving me, I thought it was going to tell me username doesn't exist. I thought they did that on low security mode. Oh, but admin does exist. Okay, well, I was wrong. I thought they were going to tell me the difference. This is an example of something that's low, very low security. They're doing the good thing here, saying one of those two fields is wrong, rather than telling me which one is wrong. Because if I only know that one of the two things is wrong, I can't in, linear time discover and enumerate possible usernames and then separately enumerate over passwords. I have to somehow find a username that exists that I know is right and then enumerate over that username's possible passwords. But if I only know that both are wrong and I can't get a list of usernames somehow, then I kind of have to brute force in an n-squared fashion this username, all possible passwords. And then when I find a match, I'm good. But then I move to the next username, all possible passwords, and maybe this user doesn't even exist. So I'll have to go through my entire password list. I'll never find a match. And then only then have I determined that that username doesn't exist. I really thought it would do that on low security mode, but it is on low security mode. So, well, the CTF I'm going to have you do does have that problem. But anyway, we'll do brute force here, okay? And if I go admin, admin, it'll work, and it'll tell me, what? Well, now I'm very confused. How did I log in at all? Don't update. I'm going to go to my proxy here real quick and check. Admin, admin. I might have to reset the database. / setup. Okay. So let's log out. Admin, admin. Oh boy, login failed. Something's really gone quite wrong here, gentlemen. Is that saved password correct? Hey, that saved password's correct.
This is my typical demo day.
So the resetting of the database didn't reset the database, but my browser has the password saved, so I can find out what the password is, and that'll be useful. I've probably set it to something very, very clever, almost certainly. So let's go Control, comma, preferences, logins, localhost, admin. I don't want to show you that password. Oh, good Lord. Cover your eyes.
Still going on YouTube?
Wow. I have this saved somewhere else, but I want to log in here later. Good God damn. I'm going to remove you. And now I can show the passwords. Yes. Oh, of course. It's password. Okay. So I'm logged in here. I'm going to brute force land. Admin password. When I log in successfully, it's like, oh my gosh, you got to the protected area. Okay. So to do a brute force attack against this in burp, let's say assuming we know that we have the admin login, we know that that's the credential. The easiest way to do that is you go to your burp proxy, you find the place where you successfully, or where you tried to log in, any login request, and you send this to Intruder. So here I can see it's got username admin, password, login equals login, whatever. We want to make sure we don't try to send payloads to these. And we are saying we knew that the password, that the admin is going to be the admin, and we don't want to test on this weird login credential either. We just want to send a list of passwords to the password field and test all of these in an automatic fashion. Okay, so we'll do the sniper attack. We know we want to look for, well, let's say we don't know, we've only been able to fail to log in, so we know we want to look for username and or password incorrect. That's how we know we've failed. Okay, so I copy this text, copy. In my payloads, I'll use a simple list and I will load the passwords list by default. Okay, this is built into Burp, but there is a password list. It's only built into Burp Pro Suite. There is on Kali, if I go less/user share word lists rocku. This file, rocku.txt, is a long list of the most common passwords sorted by their commonality. Okay, so this list will probably make you a little sad. Look at how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the most common password, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and password. Okay, some other good ones. I think I saw fuck you. That's another good password. You know, someone's frustrated with the password that they have to make one at all. Okay.
At least love me was higher than fuck you.
Yeah, right. Okay, and if we, word count this thing /user share word lists rocku. So it's the most common 1,434,000. Oh, 14 million actually. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 14 million 300 or so passwords. So, you don't always need all of them. So something that I've done a bunch of different times, if I, you just go like cat /user share word lists rocku /desktop. Whoops. I didn't mean to cat. I meant to head -1000. Now here's the top 1000 passwords. Top 1K pass. That should have been an N, not an M. Okay. And now I can, CD desktop, and you can see I've done this several times. So I could also, instead of using burps built in, I could say load that, top 100 passwords. And we happen to know that password is the password, so I'll find that password in this top 100 attack. But I want to make sure that I clear out some of the noise. So when it grep and matches on all this stuff, I only care. Yes, I want to clear that. Whoops, I clicked no, even though I said yes. I only really care about that string that I copied, username and or password incorrect. And when I see that, I know that I failed to log in. And if I don't see that, I have a pretty good chance of having logged in. Okay. So now I'll start the attack. And interestingly, the empty string doesn't say username incorrect. So I wonder if it logs in. That might be extremely vulnerable. And then password doesn't say username. So I probably was successful here. And that's like a basic password spraying attack with burp. I want to find out what happens when I do the empty string. Maybe it was a space. Either way, I think burp was telling me something weird. Because I see that text when I try the empty string and or the space. Okay, but anyway, that's a basic password, password spray attack with burp. What do you think about that?
Certainly makes it very easy. It's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, pretty easy, kind of interesting. There's another tool that's quite useful for doing the same thing. If you only have the community edition of burp, they throttle the number of requests you can make, so it's actually kind of painfully slow. But you can do this same basic thing using another tool called Hydra. So I want this raw request, and then in my terminal, I can go like, Hydra-H, and you'll see Hydra is quite a complex tool. There's a whole host of things you can do, and it breaks lots of different services. But real quick, I'm going to get the example from my notes here. Okay, and I'll send, like I did before, I'll send this to chat so you can look at it before I execute it. Okay. Here's the command I'm about to run. It's wrong in a couple of ways, but we'll talk about what they are and it'll be helpful. Okay, so here, -p, little p is short for password. Just use a single password. Okay, so in this attack, I would always be sending, wherever I send the password field, I'd always be sending the password wrong. -L, capital L, is short for login, and I'm sending a list. Okay, and this same thing holds true of passwords. If I said capital P, and then I specified a list of passwords here, like my top 100 text. Now, since I'm using a list of passwords and this short list, which contains a bunch of usernames, it'll be doing that kind of n-squared enumeration. Every password in top 100 combined with every username in shortlist.txt, they all get tried in a brute force fashion. Whereas if I use the lowercase for either of these, or for both, then it's just going to try a single username and a single password. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so L is for the username, right?
Yes, yeah,
Or,
login.
Okay. Login, right, got it.
Okay, then the next thing you send, I mean, I could also do these like the parameters down here, -f, -v, -t. I could have sent those obviously before. This is just a Linux command. You know, Linux flags work the same way as in any other Linux command. The two primary things you have to send to Hydra are the host that you're trying to attack and the service, the style of service that you're attacking. So in our case, right, I'm actually attacking against http://localhost. Okay, and the service, I can't remember if this was a get or a post. Okay, so this was a get HTTP form, and there's get, and there's a whole host of services you can attack, like SSH and SFMTP and FTP and stuff like that. So there's tons of different services you can attack against Hydra. And then here, the third thing is starting with a quote, the path to where you want to attack. And so in our case, /db40 blah, 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 /login, that's wrong. What I actually want to be attacking is /dbwa/vulnerabilities/brute. Okay, so copy this, bring it down here, paste. And then this colon is some Hydra specific syntax. So after the colon, you specify things that are important to your particular protocol that you're attacking. And so in our case, we want to specify the parameter. So username is still correct for us. And then these little carets are the equivalent of the little double S's. It's the place where we're going to insert the user. Okay. So we do caret user, and that's where each thing from our password or from our login shortlist gets put in. Why on earth this is an L for login, but this is capital USER user is beyond me. I hate it, but we deal.
So it's basically a template, right? That's going to have the.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is
L, right, gotcha. Yeah.
Exactly. So this caret user, caret is the place where we insert the template string, and this username is the actual name of the get parameter that we're targeting. And then here, password is again the correct get parameter that we're targeting, and here's the template. And then we have another colon, and the string we specify after this final colon, so right now it says invalid username, this is what's going to be searched, and it indicates failure to Hydra. Okay, so this is what we don't want to see, and it will report results only when we don't see that text. So on DVWA, the actual text we want to not find is this: username and or password incorrect. So if I paste that in here, -F, I forgot. -V is verbose. -V is extra verbose. Show us every combination you tried. -lowercase v just gives us a little bit of extra information. I can do -D for debug, which gives us even more information that presumably the makers of Hydra say you only really want if you're trying to fix Hydra. Okay, so we'll just use little verbose. -T is the number of threads, so I'm saying do 32 threads. And let's scroll up. I bet -F appears right here. Ah, yeah. -F is exit as soon as you find any successful login. Whereas if you don't have -F, you might want to find multiple logins that work rather than just quitting. In fact, let's have Hydra run and just report all the things it can find. Okay, so this command here now is going to run the top 100 passwords from RawQ that I extracted against this short list.txt, which is I've found it from some random security list GitHub, which I can share with you if you want. It's going to attack this URL using the HTTP form get on this path after the basic URL, and it's going to insert the usernames, passwords. It's going to search for this text, and it'll only report us results that don't include that text. So what did I do wrong here? You can either use example.com or you can use module : oh, so it says basically, I'm pretty sure this is telling me I don't need HTTP here, I just need localhost, because I've already specified that it's an HTTP form get, so you should imply that it's HTTP from there.
So HTTP form get is a Hydra specific thing?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, wow, it found a bunch of successful things. I wonder if they're all right. I can't imagine they all actually are. So Fred and 0000. Let's see what happens when I type in Fred. And how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, username or password incorrect. We got some redirects. So what is this telling me?
Is the failure case correct?
It might not be.
Because do we not want username and or password incorrect, or is it something else? Oh, it is, okay. No, it looks.
That looks
Looks
right.
Right, yeah.
Huh. Well, we know what it says when it succeeds, so let's look for welcome. Yeah, no, it's still giving us a lot of spurious correct results. Why is that happening? And why do when I click refresh? Oh, because it's still got the query parameters here. Oh, you know what? I wonder, there could be some problems with my cookie. Yeah. Oh. This might be a problem because I'm not giving it like my cookie and everything. I'm still not sure exactly why it's telling me all this worked. It really should not have. But let's actually try logging out, and let's try breaking in on the actual login page and see if we get better success here. So I'll make a failed login attempt. I won't update. It'll say login failed on my deal. and I'll get the new, ooh, is it a post even? And I send password. Okay, so it was a post. So let's get the raw thing here. We'll go to login/dvwa. So we'll change this to post. We'll change this to /dvwa/login.php. And we'll look for, we don't want to see failed. Now I'm very confused. Well, I'm going to basically assume that I am misunderstanding something pretty significant about the way this last piece works on Hydra, because it's clearly giving me everything succeeded. Tyler's got to read the Hydra docs again. Well, let's not get too caught up on my own failure. The idea of password spraying makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Totally.
I'm just
And
looking through some basic Hydra things to see if I can spot what we're getting wrong. But
yeah, maybe we should. Okay, so I mean, what I've got left is an explanation of cross-site scripting, and then I've got a lab that actually requires us to successfully password spray. And since you two are going to be using, the community version of Burp, since you don't pay for it, we're going to have to get Hydra working in order to password spray against the HackerOne CTF that I want to do. So we'll figure this out. But what I want to do, since we've been here for an hour and 22 minutes, is stand up, get another cup of coffee, stretch it out, take a little 5-10 minute break. How do you feel?
Sounds good to me.
yep, sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. Let's take a short break.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, I'm back. I was trying to see if I could add the headers with the cookie. That was one of my first inclinations about something that might be breaking life. But that didn't seem to work.
Hey Tyler, sorry, I was trying to get my stuff set up yesterday and just totally failed, and so I've been hustling to try and get it done today. But I've been having trouble getting just the damn vulnerable website up.
DVWA was tricky for me to configure as well, honestly.
I kind of just gave up and signed up for HackerOne, and so I'll be a little behind, but I'll try and catch up.
No, cool. Both of these password spraying attacks, you can do them against Pet Shop Pro in HackerOne is a good place to do it. You'll first have to find out where you can possibly log in. I don't know, you could use a certain tool that we talked about to maybe do that. And in fact, let's just quickly do, I'm gonna figure out this fucking stupid Hydra thing. I'm really mad about it, but we'll figure that out. Let's talk about XSS. Actually, Bart, are you back? We'll wait for Bart to get back, and then we'll talk about XSS, and then while we can all concurrently break into this one app, and once you find out how to get into the place where you can actually use password spraying, then we'll all be on the same page and we'll use Hydra to break it and it'll work.
Okay. Sounds like a good plan.
Hey, Tyler. Hi, Brian. I'm back.
Sweet. Okay, so the last little thing I have planned to demonstrate today is cross-site scripting. And what I just told Brian, our plan is I'm going to show cross-site scripting, then I'm going to have you break into one of the CTFs on HackerOne called Pet Shop Pro. And on Pet Shop Pro, you'll have to use all of the tools that we did today. Well, you don't have to use burp, but you do have to use enumeration. You're going to have to find a place to then use password spraying. And then you'll have to also do cross-site scripting to capture all three flags. So I'll show that. And then while we're all working on Pet Shop Pro, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my Hydra command, because we're all going to need to use Hydra since burp throttles you so much. We'll all need to use Hydra to break into the actual password spraying on Pet Shop Pro on HackerOne.
Sounds good.
Okay, so cross-site scripting. Have you heard of this before already?
No, not me.
Okay. Cross-site scripting is a catch-all term for an attack where basically you inject some JavaScript onto the page and the page runs, okay? Or the page runs the JavaScript, which can be potentially quite dangerous. So there's two main types of XSS, and then there's an ancillary one that we're not going to have a chance to practice today, but we can kind of talk about how it might work and why it's different. The first is called reflected. And I said CSS, people actually call it XSS. Get it? It's a cross. Okay. Cross-site scripting, and CSS is cascading style sheets. We're not talking about this. Okay, with reflected XSS, the attacker, so I'll give them, this is wrong because it would be a white hat, so we'll give them a red hat even though it should be a black hat. Here's our attacker. Okay. We use our laptop to send someone a link, and this link typically has something like a get query parameter in it where param is set equal to be our malicious JavaScript. Okay, we convince our target, our poor unsuspecting target, let's give them a frowny face, then clicks on that link in their own computer, which causes their web browser to execute our malicious payload. And some common things that you'd want to do with a malicious payload like this are, so like let's say I open up my JavaScript terminal here. Oh, I did not want you to be in that format. I'll do it the slow way. Okay, if I open my JavaScript console here, something that's pretty common to want to do is I want to go like, let me console.log session.cookie, or is it window.cookie? Console.log window dot, here, I'll just Google this. JavaScript log cookie. I always forget if it's like window or document. It's probably document.cookie. Yeah, okay, document.cookie. Document.cookie. Boom. Okay. Now imagine instead of console.logging it, I used the fetch command, which in JavaScript makes a web request. I could then say, make a web request. If we go back to my whiteboard here, my malicious JavaScript could then send document.cookie to my, malicious website, Teb's Fish Farm. .com. I really want to buy that domain name, but I haven't yet. Okay, tebsfishfarm.com. And now I have, let's call our target Tim. I have Tim's cookie. I could copy this cookie into my browser, and now I can masquerade as Tim. So I've just successfully hijacked his login credentials, more or less. And you can imagine I could write JavaScript that's a keylogger and do that exact same flow. So the JavaScript could just log everything that my target types, or any number of other things that I could do from within the context of his browser session. So another thing I could do is say, instead of sending that data to tebsfishfarm.com, I could cause his browser, let's say what he logged into is his banking software. I could cause his browser, if I knew something about that banking software, to make a malicious request to the website that he's actually on. His bank, we'll draw their web server in green, the bank, that says, yo, transfer $100, and I would do way more than $100, but transfer $100 to some account that I own, right? And then suddenly I have money and Tim doesn't have money, boom. Okay. Does this, the style of this attack make sense?
It certainly does make sense, yeah. I can never remember exactly how it is that JavaScript gets reflected from the URL and actually executed. It has to sort of not, like the page has to be making use of that parameter, right?
That's exactly right. So this vulnerability is introduced usually by web application developers, on the team hosting, in this example, right, it was the bank website. So the bank software engineers, whoever wrote their front-end web application, made a mistake by accepting this parameter and putting it into the page and not properly sanitizing it. So like, here is an example of a reflected XSS, and let's look at what it's doing. If I type hello, then it goes hello, hello, and it inserts what I typed directly into the page. So I can type some JavaScript, but it won't get executed. Document.cookie. Let's say I want, let's say I want to console.log document.cookie. It'll just put that here on the page. But if you know something about JavaScript, do either of you speak JavaScript?
Yep.
Nope.
Okay, so if I know something about JavaScript, I can maybe do more, and especially about the way the browser parses scripts and determines what's a script and what's not a script. So can I add something to this bar?
Stick it in script tags.
Bingo. Okay, so now if I go script, and here, this is, Brian, you said, no, I don't speak JavaScript. In browser land, this is a piece of HTML that indicates the text following this open script tag, and I'll have to add the closing script tag to the end, which you'll see. The stuff in between these two script tags should be JavaScript that is executed by the browser. Okay, so I come over here and I go /script, that's the closing script tag. And actually, I'm going to switch from console.log to a different function called alert, because alert's just a lot easier to see when it happens.
Hey Tyler, you're still on the whiteboard view here. I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, thank
You're typing.
you.
I don't know if you see that, Bart, or not.
Yeah, no, sorry, I should have said something. I thought
Okay.
we were still on the drawing.
Okay, so here we are, here we are. Now I'm in script land. Okay, so I've added this opening script tag. That was what I was describing to. So if I just did, console.log, it put it on the screen down here. But if I put a script tag in and then have it alert document.cookie and then have a closing script tag, then when this whole piece of text, when all of it gets inserted into the page, the browser starting right here is going to think this alert is actually JavaScript that should be executed. So if I insert this, you'll see this is what alert does. It puts this big box on the screen. Now I've alerted their cookie value, and I could alert, whatever I want. And if we go here and we inspect the element, we can see the browser just put in the text that I asked it to put in, but it didn't do any sanitizing. It didn't, protect the input. It didn't escape any characters like it probably ought to have. It should have, at a bare minimum, escaped this greater than and less than tags. Whoops, I did that backwards. Less than and greater than tags to be, literal caret values. Because what should have happened, right, is here it should say, hello, script alert document dot cookie end script. That's what the naive web developer expected to happen, but they didn't write the code in a way that does that. And so this gets on the page as part of, a GET request. And so this is how I can construct a link where if I send this link and I click this link from anywhere else, my script tag gets injected. So this is reflected XSS.
Is there any tooling that can help you to, I imagine there is, help you to find where URL parameters are actually injected into web pages?
I'm sure that there is.
I mean, it seems like it should be, right? It wouldn't even be hard to do, really.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be hard. You just, quickly test every parameter that you know about and then basically search the text, grep the text for that parameter existing. I don't know of a good one offhand, but I'm absolutely sure it exists. And I wonder if you can actually, that sounds like something Burp could probably do for you in certain ways. That's the type of thing it would do.
I thought it'd be quite useful because actually a lot of sites don't really inject query parameters so much into the page these days.
Exactly. Yeah, it's known to be a bad practice, so people don't do it too much, which is good. We're all getting safe, but XSS is still on the OWASP top 10, which means people are doing. Well, and it's interesting now because lots of people are graduating from boot camps and alternative ways of getting into the software industry. And those education programs are short. And so when they're short, you necessarily skimp on things. So one interesting trend is actually SQL injection. Even though the solutions to SQL injection have been known on the back end how to handle it for a long, long time, you just use an ORM and you're basically invulnerable to SQL injection. Even though that's true, the share of attacks that are SQL injection has been rising over the last few years, even though the solution hasn't changed and has been well known for 40 years. It's kind of crazy.
That's fascinating. No idea.
Okay, so this is reflected XSS. The other kind is stored XSS. And the difference between reflected and stored is just that in stored XSS, instead of, say, grabbing something out of the URL query parameter and putting it on the page, something from a database, you accept user input, that user input goes into a database, another user comes along, and this is like a forum. I make a post on a forum, my forum post gets saved in the database, my forum post contains a malicious piece of XSS, an injection, and then when someone else loads up that forum page, the cross-site scripting attack gets executed against them, okay? And so the difference here is when I make a forum post, I do the script tag, like something like this, alert. Oh, I can't type anymore because there's some front-end validation. We can bypass that. let's go back to burp's proxy and turn intercept on. Okay, and I'll post some crazy message, whatever. I'm going to sign the guest book. And this is not quite complete. I actually want, and it'll automatically URL encode this, as you can see. So I'm going to change it just so that we can read it. I'm going to change the text name to alert. Got him. And then end the script tag. Okay, so burp is holding this request for me before I forward it. Now I'll forward it. And then the response comes back and I alert got him. And now not only did I alert got him this time, but if I refresh the page, yep, resend the data. Oh, turn intercept off. I'll get it every time I land back on this page. Got him. Got him. Because, you know, this is now stored in my database and it's getting loaded for any user who comes back to this forum page. They always get the injected payload. Okay, so that's the difference between reflected and stored XSS. Reflected XSS comes from a link that has an embedded, you know, a malicious payload embedded in it. And stored XSS is when I actually get my malicious payload to be stored on the server, and then you serve it up to more users. So stored XSS is considered to be usually a higher risk vulnerability because your server is actually responsible for propagating the malicious payload. Whereas in reflected XSS, if I'm the attacker, I have to convince someone that they should click on my malicious link or that they should open my malicious link somehow. Okay, and then the third kind, which I'm not going to demo, but there is a third kind called DOM XSS. And this happens when instead of injecting a script to be run itself, you inject some HTML that changes the behavior of JavaScript that's already supposed to be running on the page. So a good example of this is like injecting a hidden form element. And so maybe the users or the creators of the application were good enough to know, you know, that if they ever see this piece of text in the HTML, in someone's input that's going to get stored into the HTML, they're like, yeah, no, don't do that. Right? But maybe they weren't good enough to recognize that the same thing should be true of injecting something like this into the HTML. And then you can change one of the inputs in a form and someone clicks, you know, go, and the result of that go has been changed because there's a new form input that wasn't there that the application developer didn't intentionally put on the page. And that's called DOM XSS, where you're not actually injecting JavaScript, you're just changing the content of the page that changes the way the application's real JavaScript code, it changes its behavior. Okay.
I suppose that approach could also be used to target password managers that automatically autocomplete forms. Automatically
Yes.
autocomplete like password and, you know, login forms.
Exactly. Okay, so those are the three attack types. Now, did you both get a HackerOne account?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so now I have to remember what my HackerOne password is so I can show you the CTF because I have to log in. And I deleted it from my little password manager here. Oh, I know how to do this. Okay. My email address is tip311.com. Oh, God damn it. Oh, yeah, I should have been able to remember that. Haha. Now, technically, I might have, opened myself up to some vulnerabilities. There are some really cool machine learning algorithms that have been shown to, with about 80% accuracy, they can take audio of typing and reverse engineer what you typed. Isn't that crazy?
That is pretty crazy.
It's very scary.
Horrifying. But anyway,
I think I've read a similar thing, that using the accelerometer in your phone, and based on how you tilt the phone as you're entering characters, they can also get quite a high accuracy prediction of what you're actually entering, which could be another vector for getting passwords, I guess.
terrifying. What people figure out how to do. Amazing. Okay, so here on the HackerOne CTFs, the one that I want you to hack against is Pet Shop Pro. And it's easy, it's only 3 flags, and this has 1 flag each for all of the basic attacks that I showed you today. That is, it's got an XSS that you've got to find, it's got a page that is not obvious that you've got to enumerate against and find, and it's got a place where you can use password spraying. I don't know. I know that the passwords are always in like the top 1 to 2,000 of RockU, so you can use the trick I showed you to just get the first 2,000 of RockU from the Kali word lists. I don't actually know where all of the usernames come from, but I have used this username list, this top usernames list, and that sometimes works. The HackerOne CTF automatically randomizes the password, the username password every time. And I haven't gotten in contact with them, so I don't know what the full list of those names are. But you might want to try other sec lists, like this names.txt could be useful. Sec lists usernames could be useful. Oh, it's not gonna be in there. That's too short. Top short list. Yeah, those probably aren't what you want either. These are just real people names. But anyway, part of the whole exercise is being able to find lists and tools that are useful. RockU is very useful, and my browser just died. So anyway, now you're on your own. Just kidding. I'm going to stick around for sure and be helpful and figure out how to make Hydra work. But do you have any questions about what I'm asking you to do?
So I've got to Pet Shop Pro, and I go on Pet Shop Pro.
Yep, yeah, click go, and it should start you up like your own little instance. I'll get back there real quick. Switch to tab. Are you still intercepting? What the hell is going on? Yeah, so you go to Pet Shop Pro, you click go, and it'll start you up. And this is your own little instance. So you'll have a different IP address, probably slightly, and you'll definitely have a different little hash here.
Okay, cool. I think it must be something, some ad block or something I have installed that is not.
Oh, yeah. You might have to turn off Privacy Badger and.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Okay, and so in the interest of not giving anything away while I hack against this myself to get Hydra working, I'm gonna not show my screen.
Yeah, indeed. I just needed to disable well, I don't know, a couple of ad blockers.
But it's working now?
Yeah, it's working now.
Sweet.
Is it going to make a difference if I run this inside the VM or not? It shouldn't matter, right? This is just a public IP that I'm.
No, yeah, it shouldn't matter. It's a public IP.
So the payments URL seems to be HTTP.
Yeah, these are all, I think, HTTP. None of them are HTTPS. So, we could just sit, man in the middle of all the traffic and get everyone's passwords if we watched. I'll be right back.
So would you recommend just starting with Sitemap, or?
Yeah, I definitely think you should figure out the sitemap, and knowing that you're looking for XSS and for, something that you can enumerate, look at using GoBuster like we did, or, look for places where there appears to be information injected onto the page from stuff you do.
Okay.
Okay, I found another potentially good username list to check. I know that I double checked that the ones that are for my instance, the username and password are in there. I also checked RockU, and the username and password that my instance have were both in RockU, but one of them, the username or the password, I can't remember which, is like the 107,000th entry, so it's not necessarily high up on the list. But brute forcing is always a waiting game, so no matter what list you try, there's no way to guarantee it's going to be fast.
Sure. How are you getting on, Brian?
I do not have GoBuster, and it tells me that the package cannot be found. So not great.
Okay, I'm just messing around with Burp Suite at the moment, looking through there, but I kind of not really remembering. I don't know which functionality to play around with most. Just looking through the sitemap at the moment, but.
Gotcha.
Ryan, have you tried this apt install GoBuster?
Try it again.
You'll have to sudo. Because I found a lot of the tools that
Yeah, it's
that's no dice.
says unable to locate package GoBuster.
Huh. What about try Durbuster?
Is it apt or apt-get?
Both work.
And it's dir buster or just dir?
dir.
Already installed.
So you can use Durbuster. It works, I think, pretty much exactly the same way as GoBuster.
Okay.
Oh, and it looks like there's even a, according to the Kali tools, if you'd prefer like a little Java GUI for Durbuster, it looks like that might also be included. Oh, in fact, that might be what this is. Yeah, so there you go. You can use this. Surprised GoBuster wasn't found though.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Oh yeah, it started up the little GUI for me.
The GUI. You know what? You might also actually try, if you want to use GoBuster, try apt update, and then after that, do apt upgrade. So sudo. Because sometimes the package lists could be out of date. You can see my package list is out of date.
So what did you say I should do? Sorry.
Sudo apt update. And then after that, you can go sudo apt upgrade.
So I've been messing around with the admin login page, and it does indeed tell you if your username was the part that was valid or invalid.
Mm.
But just doing this manually at the moment.
Brian, you were saying something?
Oh yeah, I just missed what Bart said. You were playing with what, and you noticed something?
So on the pet shop box, there is a login page, and on that login page, if you enter an incorrect username, it does actually tell you that it's the username that is incorrect, as opposed to saying either the username or password.
Aha.
So I guess we could use that to try and figure out a valid username.
Exactly. You can do a linear scan instead of, an n squared.
I'm just trying the common ones manually at the moment, hoping I could have luck. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start learning how to actually configure some of the tooling.
Wow, a lot of my stuff was out of date. Holy cow.
Yeah, apparently I have 783 packages that can be upgraded.
You probably don't need to upgrade all of them, so you might not have to run the upgrade command if you want, but after update finishes, try, apt install GoBuster again with sudo.
Hey, things are happening.
Haha.
It worked. Okay, now let's try this again.
So Tyler, I really need to get GoBuster to try doing stuff on the admin login, do I? There's not much point with Burp Suite.
Burp Suite is going to be, yeah, quite slow.
Okay, cool. I'll try and install GoBuster then.
But not GoBuster for hacking against the admin login. Hydra is what you want.
Hydra, okay. What was GoBuster for again? I've forgotten.
GoBuster is one of the ways you could have found the login page.
Right, yes, okay. I just tried going to /login.
I just found it.
Do you want to share your screen and show what GoBuster shows when it works, Brian?
Yeah, I was trying to do it right before this, and let's see.
Hold on, I have to stop sharing before you're allowed to share, but I lost my Zoom window. Oh my God, where did you go, Zoom? Sometimes this tool makes me crazy.
GoBuster version 3 by the Colonial and _firefart_. Some excellent names.
That's the authors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are
Nice.
some cringy things in the security world.
that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I gotta let.
So it looks like I have Hydra installed on Kali already.
Sweet.
So I'm going to try, I guess, finding a list of usernames and putting that in as a parameter to Hydra, and just keep the password as something constant.
Yes, totally.
And then I need my invalid. I have my invalid thing already.
Can I click share? I'm not sure if you're able to see anything yet.
I don't see your screen yet, Brian.
I think my computer is not enjoying life.
Oh, there we go. Now it says you have started screen sharing.
Yeah. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yep.
So I got it to work. It came back with cart, login, and static, being the three responses just from that common list, that common text list that we talked about that you used at the beginning.
Yeah, and you'll see, it's in wordlist/dirb, which is short for dirbuster. So dirbuster themselves provided that word list, and this is all just like default names that people use all the time, or stuff that standard like PHP Apache backends just expose by default.
Gotcha. So from here, we would use that login site being what we would do to password spray.
Yeah, exactly. So now they say they got a positive response on that website. So go to your browser and type in, that URL. And now it's like, aha, I found something I wasn't supposed to find.
Gotcha. Do admin, and it says invalid username. Okay.
Okay, now Bart, you're started on using Hydra. Do you want to share your screen and show us what you're doing?
Well, I haven't really started actually, but
Okay.
give me a second.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, well, I can share screen and we can figure it out together, I guess. Let me share the right one. Now, hopefully you should see.
Yep, I see what you're doing.
Cool. So I think it was -P for a list of usernames. Is there a default list that comes? Oh, actually, maybe I should just have a look at what
I don't
comes
think
first.
I haven't been able
No.
to find a good list of usernames in Kali, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that the usernames and passwords are always drawn from RockU, maybe even something that's smaller than RockU. I have a friend who works at HackerOne, actually. I should get them to ask if I can get a shorter list, because this would go much smoother if I had a list of like 2,000, usernames and passwords that I know they draw from that I could give to folks like you.
Mm.
User share word lists.
Oh, use a share word list. Oh yeah, of course. So better to download a different word list like the one you suggested? Or...
Yeah, you may want to. I looked through the word list that I sent in Slack. Well, I grepped through it for the username and password that I know gets assigned to my particular account. And they're both in there, but they're both also in RockU. They're slightly higher. My password is really quite high in RockU, but my username is pretty low in RockU, like 100,000th.
Okay. So it looks like I need to unzip RockU. Oh no, it's a text file.
Oh no, it's totally gzip. So you should just g-unzip.
So I mute myself at this point.
No, this is fine. Do 2 exclamation points. Sudo bang bang. Do you know that hotkey? Sudo space with a space. Bang bang is do the last command I just wrote. So this is.
Okay. I think you all know what this password is anyway.
You mean you didn't change it from the default?
I haven't had a chance yet. No time.
It was actually only in the most recent release of Kali that they changed the default user from root. It used to be that they didn't even make you a user, just said, you're always
really?
root.
Not sure if that's right or not.
User share word lists, RockU.
Oh, that's why it wasn't ordered completely. Oh, it's the other way around. So this should actually be capital P for a file.
Right.
Oh no, sorry. I actually want this to be login, don't I?
Perfect. Yep. Yep, and this might take some time. I've kicked off the command that should get it working for me, and I'm at 16,000 usernames searched. I happen to know that the correct username is at 100,000. So, I'm almost to 20,000 now. So I'm a 20% of the way there.
Hey Bart, when you initially were just checking passwords it looks like based on what your command that you're about to write, you put in password and it just said the username is incorrect. Is that right?
Yes, it seems to be when I was just looking at it from here.
Because I put in admin and it gave me the same result. So I guess there could just be multiple username password combos. Is that?
You think that this doesn't indicate the username being incorrect?
No. I think that's true. But I used the password admin and it gave me the same response as of invalid username.
Okay. I mean, it could still string as the username is invalid, I guess.
I can chime in here. If you get a correct username and an incorrect password, it'll say invalid password. And if you get an invalid username, no matter what the password is, it'll say invalid username.
Oh, okay. So it's just stepping you through both. You kind of go through it sequentially instead of both at the same time. You have to get the username, then you get the password.
You can, and that makes it a lot easier, right? Because if you didn't get any information about which of those two was wrong, you'd be forced to enumerate all possible combos before you found anything.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so how am I going to figure out this string?
Right, so the first section, yes, exactly, is that. And I think you want the beginning slash, pretty sure.
Okay. And then, okay, so then we're going to put colon, well, we hope it's like this. I haven't actually checked.
Check your burp, yeah.
Check in burp, right?
Go to proxy.
Proxy, okay.
And then HTTP history. And then one of those recent requests you should be able to find for that particular website when you, yeah, exactly. And now zoom all the way to the bottom, or just see on the very left, it's sorted by number up, yeah.
Yeah, this looks more like it. Okay, so.
Then click, yeah. I think you should click raw, and that'll be the most obvious way to find it.
Aha, here we go. Well, so to log in, then. Oh, okay, so this is the query string.
Yep.
So it is indeed username and password.
Highly convenient.
Indeed. Okay. So then this is user. And then this was invalid. Let me just copy it. So this just does a full pattern match on whatever the response is, like across the whole thing, I guess.
Yep. And then you close your quote, and then I'm going to suggest two more flags. One is dash lowercase f for stop as soon as you find any result that works. So don't keep going after you found a particular username. And then if you want to see it, if you want to have some notion that it's working, sometimes I like to just watch it as everything zooms by, do dash capital V. And that'll say print to the screen every time you make a request and tell me which username and passwords did not work. And then the last one is dash T followed by 64, and that'll say do 64 threads, make 64 requests at once. And so that can speed things up. 64 is the max.
Let's see how this machine handles it. Okay, cool. Let's really. Oh, is it the HTTP that's not needed?
That's right. On where you have the IP address, the HTTP is not necessary because you're already saying we're going to do, this is an HTTP form.
Oh, lag though.
Yeah, the VM lag is sometimes incredibly annoying. Okay, so then look, you're off to the races.
Nice. Now I just need to go make myself a cup of tea.
Exactly,
Or
and
I suppose I
that's
could also continue.
finding the other two flags while this goes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll show you, I'm going to take over and show you I'm doing exactly the same thing right now. You can see mine
Yeah.
ticking away. I'm
Nice.
at 56, almost 57,000 now. And, you know, like I said, I happen to know that what I'm looking for is at position about 107,000.
Hmm.
Joy.
Yeah, it's not so exciting when you know what's gonna happen and when.
Exactly. And this is why, you know, like a good rule of thumb is you kick off these exhausting enumeration or brute force searches at the beginning of your engagement, and then, you know, you go look for other stuff while this is going, and then you check back every once in a while, and it'll stop when you get a pass or when you get a username. You'll be like, oh, sweet, now I'll do the password thing.
Yeah. What were the other endpoints that you found, Brian? It was there was the login one that came up, and
I found cart, login, and static.
can't log in and static. Okay.
And static is nothing.
Yeah. No, nothing.
So in the first part of the Hydra script, after you put the password admin and then you put the first part of the HTTP form, do you just put like whatever's prior to the /DB and then a bunch of numbers?
I was going to say I can copy you the thing that I did, but I can't because it's already disappeared in my terminal. Do you want to share maybe, and we can?
Hold on just a sec, I'll be right back.
Okay. He'll be right back, and then I'll share his screen and we'll work it out with him. I'm gonna get a couple.
So how's business as a full-time educator?
It's really fun. You know, I used to be a web developer. I like teaching a lot more than I ever really enjoyed web development. I'm a little too extroverted for the day-to-day work of a web developer. I mean, I like the...
Gives you...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on. Well, I was going to say it gives you lots of opportunities, like you said at the beginning, to touch and learn many different things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really fun, and, you know, just the process of teaching is fun for me. I was a teacher before I was a web developer too. I used to be a high school debate coach, actually. So, you know, that was a whole other life ago. But I like it. I think it's really fun, really interesting. I enjoy the work. I've got a few kind of steady contracts, and then I do one-off stuff like this. It's been really great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
yeah, share your screen.
Didn't really do anything.
Oh, but it might be doing something. It's just thinking, did you do capital V or lowercase v? Looks like lowercase v.
Oh, lowercase should have done capital.
Well, capital V will just tell you more output. It'll tell you everything it's trying, even when it fails. And lowercase v isn't, it's verbose more so than normal, but it'll see, it's told you, I've tried 5,000 things. Gotcha. Wow, how long did you kick it off? 5,000 in a few seconds. That's pretty fast. Did you also do -F? Yeah, so it'll stop when it finds one.
Okay.
Have you found any of the other flags?
Have I?
No.
Yeah, yeah. There's 3 flags, and I think only at least one of them is available without having to log in. Ooh, cannot connect. That's interesting. I wonder if they're throttling you. Or if some kind of network connection's going crazy.
It could be. I don't have great Wi-Fi in this part of my house, so
Mm,
that could be the problem.
yeah, maybe you're overwhelming your poor router.
Probably. Yeah, it's like every 5 to 10. This is failing.
Yeah, I think that Hydra definitely has some ability to restore from a previous point. So if you want to get fewer errors, you might try control Cing and reducing the number of, oh, hey, look.
It worked.
Hey, try
Hey,
that.
got a hit.
Try that login. Punch, 11111189 into the username field.
111189. Password admin.
I think it'll still give you an invalid password. I bet it didn't find the right password. Whoa, what the heck was that?
Fail to connect.
Oh, maybe that's actually the problem. A burp error. Open up burp. Are you intercepting? Shouldn't be. Go to proxy.
There it is. Yeah.
Intercept
the
is
problem?
off, so that shouldn't be it. Go to any other website.
Oh, God, stupid. I just want. Oh yeah, I have it scoped. So this is working.
But that worked just fine. Huh, go back to where you got the error and just try that again. Yeah, resend. That's very weird.
Let me take off the login. Just go back to the page.
And it's saying it's not getting a response. I haven't seen that before. Failed to connect.
Should I just go back into it?
You might have to close burp or turn off your proxy settings. I don't know why it's doing that. And it's on port 80, not port 433, so I'm Googling that error message right now.
Okay.
This is weird. Go to, in your browser, can you go to localhost colon 80?
Whoa.
Ooh, that's fun.
What?
What the hell? Type a key.
Yeah, my O was stuck. Gingerly. No,
Local
oops.
and host,
No,
not local host.
local host.
Nothing. Okay, try 8,000. Huh. But 8080 goes there. Okay, that seems fine. And you can go to regular websites. Can you go to the main Hacker 101 CTF and click go on Pet Shop Pro again and see if that works?
Where'd you go? I drove right.
This is really bizarre to me. There's something that dashboard flashed orange I saw in your burp tab. Go to the dashboard tab. I wonder if it's telling us something. Well, there's some other vulnerabilities like OS command injection and SQL injection. That is so weird. Close burp down completely. Now if you go, hit enter again in there, it should give you like a, couldn't connect to proxy error, or sorry, not in your terminal, in, yeah. Okay, proxy refusing connections. Try restarting burp now and then seeing if you get that same error.
Okay.
I have this. I have that warning as well. It didn't. I just clicked OK.
Close. Come on, mouse.
So I've just noticed that in the checkout, when you go to the checkout page, the price seems to actually be sent as part of the request.
Oh, that's probably not smart.
Indeed. I literally just doing this by inspecting the web page, so I'm not using the tooling, I'm afraid.
That's okay. I mean, the website is part of the tools. Yeah, so turn off intercept. And now reload that page and see if we get that same error or not. Wow, what the fuck?
Wow, that's weird.
If you want to continue on making progress, I would just say turn off the proxy settings in Firefox right now. I'm still looking to see if I can find a good explanation of why this is happening, but it's really weird to me that it's happening just on that website and not anywhere else.
Yeah. Where did they? Just no proxy?
Yeah, just no proxy. And now you should still try that login that Hydra claims to have found.
Oh, I think I have to close Firefox. Close tabs.
Do you have any other proxy situation at your home, Brian? I'm reading the Stack Overflow or a security overflow that says this often happens when there's other proxies also configured on the network.
Unless it's something from our provider, I don't have anything set up.
Yeah, so that's probably not it.
All right. Now it's just won't even load.
Oh, so maybe it's actually HackerOne's fault, not Burp's fault. That would actually be that would make me happy. And you got back here by going through Hacker 101 CTF and you clicked go?
Yep.
Click restart underneath Go.
Sorry, I keep looking at the flags over here and the names are in the middle.
Yeah, terminate.
Where'd you go? Nope.
What? Did you get like go to your HackerOne profile? Did they like kick you off?
It's the same. It's the same host address too.
Yeah. Scroll up.
No, I'm
Just
on.
log out, huh? Command T and go to hackerone.com. Whoops, yeah, I meant Control T. That's my Apple brain.
I'm doing the same thing. My copy and paste has been a nightmare.
Oh my God, yeah. And especially when you're in the terminal now, it's like, wait, when do I have to use Shift? Sign in, don't tell me your password. You can stop sharing if you want. And then reshare, whatever makes you comfortable.
Well, since you talked about the keystroke listener, I'm now just assume you have that audio capturing device going on. So maybe it doesn't matter.
Oh, obviously, yeah. By the way, I confirmed, I ran this with RockU and I confirmed this is the login that I already knew. So just for the sake of completeness, this command, which I'll send to chat, this command worked for me in Hydra to discover what the correct username is. Why can't I paste? Oh yeah, because I'm in Apple land. Okay, and I think you both were using much the same command. So that should work. It might take a while. Like I said, it was at about the 107,000th position for me.
Hey, let me log back in.
Hey, do you have any like messages or notifications or anything like that?
Nothing.
Go back to the CTF list and try and start any of the other CTFs.
Just thinking. Yeah.
What the hell?
Start the micro CMS v1.
And that one works fine.
Yeah, it's up. I can share my screen.
Okay, so clearly something has gone wrong with your Pet Shop Pro instance. I can't explain what that is, but it looks like it's HackerOne's fault, not Burp's fault, which is good because if it was Burp's fault, I would be really mad. Then again, I also don't know how to like get you unstuck. I would try restarting the Pet Shop Pro CTF again or something. Or I mean, you can hack against any of these easy ones, but I can't guarantee that which ones have which vulnerabilities or necessarily the vulnerabilities that we just talked about today.
Right.
Send them an angry email. Hey, HackerOne, the shit you provided for free, it's broken and I'm really mad.
I demand you fix it.
Or, just wait 5 minutes and maybe it'll come back and fix itself. You can also, hack against my instance. My instance is still working. And, that the login is Corey and you could try finding the password against my instance. So,
That's true.
whoops, that was the same thing I already. Let's go Control L, Control C, and then here in Macland command. So you can hack against that one if you want, if yours doesn't come back. Hey, Bart, you said you found something pretty interesting about the price of stuff being, potentially vulnerable. Have you been able to exploit that vulnerability?
No, I haven't. I'm still just trying to figure out how to do that with Burp. I was actually on the verge of moving to just using Postman or something. Yeah, I mean, basically just sending the form data to the checkout endpoint, posting the form data to the checkout endpoint and manipulating the price as it seems to come. Well, it may come directly from there.
Yes, you're absolutely on the right track. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. I'll show you really quick one way that I might think about doing it in Burp. If Burp loads up again, what happened to my Burp? Yes, that's fine. I'll leave them. I thought I did have another. Okay, close, go away. Burp community suite, die. Yes. Burp professional, where are you?
By the way, Tyler, your instance works. I can get onto the admin page just fine.
Sweet.
It's just
So,
something about that instance of the pipeline.
yeah, if you want to try getting Hydra working, I already found the login. It's Corey. And I happen to know that the password is relatively high in RockU. So try to use Hydra against my instance using the username Corey to try and find the password now. That'll be a good exercise. And I'll know when you're right because I already know the password for my instance.
Sounds good. I'll give it a go.
So where the heck did my Burp Suite Professional go? And why did it die? Okay, let's go PS aux pipe. Grab burp. Nothing, huh? That's pretty annoying. Ugh. Okay, I'll show you one of the quickest and dirtiest ways to do this real quick, and then I'm going to restart my Kali VM because Burp is apparently refusing to start. So let me turn off my proxy really quick first. Preferences. Are you not going to load the preferences? What the hell? Are you saying this? Everything got really small. Okay, so proxy settings, turn off the proxy. Okay. Now my proxy's not refusing connections, so I should be able to go here. Groovy, groovy, great. Go to the cart. Okay. Let's go back. Let's add something to the cart. Now, if I inspect this bad boy.
Yeah, got it. Good point. Should have thought of that.
Here we go. Right. You can just change the values right in here if you want.
Yeah.
And since we know that there's not any JavaScript really running on this page, it's just doing a post here. That's potentially a good way to go. Now I will reboot Kali. Or not, I'll just do this the long way. Wow, what are you doing, Kali? Hmm.
So
Go ahead.
I tried using Hydra for the password, and it says the error network size may only be between /16 and /31 : and then it just spits back the web address.
That's a little weird. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
I might have just borked my entire VM. It's not booting up anymore.
Oh no.
So here's what I've got.
Okay. Rock you. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, hit up.
Oh, not on the screen.
Chick blam. Okay, where you have the IP address, you've also got /766A1/login. So you've got that information basically twice.
Gotcha.
I think that's probably going to be the cause. Oh, Shazam!
Got it.
Go ahead and log in.
There we go.
And if you were logged in on your account, you'd be able to use that flag, but the flags are unique per username since the username and password are unique per username, but boom, now you're in there.
This would be the flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bart, have you gotten something for free yet?
No, I haven't actually. When you edit it in the HTML, it seems to come back as the original price.
Oh, bummer. Pretty sure that works. Yeah, okay, well, I would show you.
I think maybe it wasn't. Might have actually, maybe I was changing it in the element. I think actually possibly it's not. I think actually it's not. I saw already it is in some like value property on one of the elements.
Yeah, you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Why is my VM borked? I'm so mad. I'm gonna have to start this all over.
Let me get the right screen. There we go. Hopefully you see my screen.
Yep.
So I thought that no.
Oh, not that. Open up the P, yeah.
This one. Well, you see, this is the one I was changing. Well, I think this is the one I was changing before.
Wait,
Oh
what?
no. Oh, maybe I was just changing the wrong one. I'm not sure.
Why is it saying payments temporarily disabled?
Indeed.
Normally, aren't you have to have? Normally, you're supposed to have like a little form there. Refresh this checkout page. Go back to the main non-checkout page. Maybe add another puppy. There you go. Okay, inspect all this.
Okay.
So the thing that
Oh,
matters
here's the
is.
form. Yeah. Okay. This is what I saw before. Actually, I don't know. Somehow lost it. No. Edit HTML. Okay.
You don't want to pay 95 cents for that.
Or make it 0.
Yeah, get it free. Get it totally for free. And edit the other puppy to be free also. Free 95. So boom.
Oh, okay. So they wanted to. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought it was too suspicious for it to be completely free. It flagged immediately. Huh? Better pay something for it.
Maybe in a real world situation, but remember, this is just like the easy default. Boom, so there's one of the flags.
Nice.
And then you both know, we've both now seen how to use Hydra to grab one more flag, grab the flag from logging in. And then there is one more flag. By the way, you might have noticed on the main page where there's your list of all the CTFs, you can get hints on the CTF. And so for any of the flags you've already found, it'll reveal all the hints. And then there are other hints too that might help kind of push you along. But so now you know how to get something for free. That's one flag. Logging in is one flag. And then I'm quite positive the other flag is an XSS bug. So, I mean, in one way, this kind of is almost like getting something for free was almost a DOM XSS, but not quite because there's no JavaScript running in the front. You just changed the form and submitted something that they didn't expect. So there's one more flag.
Do you need to be logged in for the other one, or?
I can't remember if you need to be logged in or not. I think you may need to be logged in because then you, yeah. You do. You need to be logged in. And then
the prices, the name, or the description of the image, which I'm assuming is the probably the stored XSS.
Exactly. One of those. And it's not every single field is vulnerable. I think only one of the fields is vulnerable. So you got to carefully probe each one of the fields to find which one you can trigger an XSS bug on, and then boom, you'll have it.
So for the probing of the field, would that basically be just looking at the responses in burp, or would that be doing another GoBuster or DirBuster to see what?
Basically, what I would recommend is, here, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay, so go to login. And now you'll see I'm not in Kali anymore because I totally did bork my VM somehow. So once you're in here, you can edit all these, and one of these fields of the 6 that you can edit, right, is going to be a vector for XSS. So basically what I would recommend is putting a script in every single one of these, and then you'll be able to find. So then somewhere else on the page, you know, if I save this, then that result appears over here. If I refresh, hey, I thought I named you something else. You're not a puppy. You're this. Okay, save. Save. Okay, nice. I can go back to my cart. And then over here, if that had been a script tag and it had been vulnerable, then the XSS would probably trigger right here, right? So you got to practice changing all of the fields to make sure that, you know, some of them might be vulnerable to XSS and some of them might not be vulnerable to XSS. And another thing to say is, you know, this page also has stuff rendered on the screen, so you might not be able to trigger the XSS on this main page. You might have to trigger it on the cart page because it, you know, the name is now stored and it'll be injected anywhere where that information comes up, and only one of the fields is both vulnerable, and only one of the pages will actually display the XSS once you've successfully enacted it. But you do need to be able to log in first.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Okay, hey, and so it's 1 o'clock. This is the time I had said we would end class, but do you have any questions or comments that you want to make now before I let you both off the phone and finish hacking this one on your own?
Not really from me. It was really interesting. I feel like I learned a lot.
Sweet, I love to hear it.
Yeah, same for me, really. I don't have any questions or comments, but thank you very much. It's been super interesting. It's really fun to actually get a little bit hands-on and start messing around with this stuff. And it looks like HackerOne looks like a great sort of tool for finding something that's like has some obvious vulnerabilities, so it's not too difficult to get started seeing how these things work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just sent in chat, my email, teb@tebslab.com. If you've got questions as you're working through these, feel free. And I also sent another place, hackthebox.eu. So this is another place that is like HackerOne, but it's a little more advanced than the HackerOne stuff. So when you finish sort of the HackerOne boxes, you can go to hackthebox.eu and do some even more advanced stuff. And a good write-up, whoops, not in exercises, in the final like further exploration. Here are some other tools and resources that you might find interesting if you want to continue, looking at this kind of security stuff and getting a little further. And I mentioned Hack the Box specifically and kind of how to break in.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Great. Well, hope to hear from you all sometime. And if not, enjoy the rest of your life. Otherwise, until next time.
All right. Thank you so much, Tyler. It's been great.